Hey, y'all, come on in. You're here on a great day.
We are taking you back to the 70s with Rex Supply Company.
It's a beautiful morning with the Barbershop Duet.
Hi, I'm Marcus Klinger with Klinger Vocal Studio.
And I'm Sarah Vincent with Sarah Vincent Virtual Pilates.
But on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
We are the Barbershop Duet.
Hey, y'all, come on in. Thank you for finding our little barbershop where your chair is always open. And if you happen to be here during one of the live premieres on YouTube, why, come on in the live chat and join the Whiff Pack. An awesome group of friends from all over the world hanging out. They'd love to meet you, too.
They would. And for our mention today, Razor Emporium is actually hosting a meetup on February 22nd. So make sure to check out their Instagram. They also have a Facebook group in case you want to join the fun.
It's free for everyone, and if you saw the videos from last year's, they had awesome stuff going on, including a soap-making demonstration. Let us know if you go. You can be one of our official correspondents. And what is the soap today?
The soap today is going to complete our set thus far, 1977.
Oh, they look like little crayons in a box in our shaving cabinet, and now we have almost the entire collection because we've heard there might be one more coming out. Let's meet the soap. All right, y'all, this is one of our favorite series in all of the wet shaving world because these are not homages to individual colognes from each decade. These are homages to the entire decade themselves. The scents, the happenings, the vibe, everything about it is encapsulated in these soaps, and they look like little crayons in a box.
And they match perfectly all the aging that goes on and the fun colors that really match that era.
So you might have noticed there is one decade missing, so we're so excited for this one from the sales page at RexSupplyCo.com.
Step into Rex Supply Co.'s newest scent, 1977. This fragrance embodies the cool, effortless style of the 1970s, inspired by the decade of contrasts. Hop out of your Chevrolet Chevelle SS and take a journey into a smoky, dimly lit lounge.
The bass notes of vetiver and patchouli beckon you. The natural and bohemian movements of the time guide you through this hazy entrance. The air is thick with the warm embrace of tobacco and the unmistakable scent of genuine leather, a symphony of well-worn jackets and vintage allure. As you step deeper into the heart of 1977, the sultry sweetness of rose flits through the air, reminiscent of the fading flower power era. You turn a corner, and the classic guitar fades beneath the pulsing rhythm of disco music. Clove adds a spicy kick and electrifying energy to the dance floor.
Ooh, are you ready to boogie? I feel like that's the whole 70s right there.
Give me John Travolta in a white suit. I am ready to go, and I come from the 70s.
All right, y'all, hop into the DeLorean. It's time to open the box. There's two left in here.
We got a few on Black Friday from Razor Emporium, and this you did not see. This is Valley Forge. It's coming up soon, but you did.
Look at that green.
Oh, there is just something magical about these soaps from Rex Supply Company. Look at that color. And these are one of the soaps that come with a little protective barrier here so that you know yours is the only schnoz that's gotten into this soap, so I will take this off. And I think I am going to have this first impression.
I feel like this green is exactly my grandma's kitchen, like this type of green.
And if you noticed our little Disney Infinity figures today, they are an homage to a rather famous movie that came out in 1977. That was the very first movie I was ever taken to at the drive-in because I was a crier, but apparently I spilled my milk bottle. They blamed me. Every time they told this story, I was to blame, that I somehow spilled my bottle as an 18-month-old infant all over the floor of the Pinto, and it reeked to high heaven for 9 months after that. I still take the blame for that. All right, let's see if I can get a little bit of Han Solo's vest going on in here. A little of the animalic musk from Chewbacca. Who knows what might be hiding in 1977.
Okay, let's have a time warp, y'all.
It's a little apropos. Looks like the surface of the moon, y'all, going on the floor. All right, here we go. The shaking clam.
The Marcus way.
L'chaim.
Back to the 70s.
Oh! Nice. This is one of those, I see what you did there.
Got it.
Moments.
Intriguing.
This is nice. The word they got right is contrast. I was a little bit weary that this was going to go super musky and dark like the 70s kind of had a way of doing. I mean, no, wait. It does. but it doesn't. There's definitely parts that go deep and 70s in this, but there are contrasting parts that pull against it to the point where they don't let you go all that deep.
Okay.
Oh, this is nice. Well, it's making things that back in the 70s for me would have been a little bit squinchy and a little bit too musky. Matt Fox knows what I'm talking about. This has taken those and left their personalities for sure.
Okay.
But there is a subtle pull against those that gives them a delightful pair of glasses that you can put on in 2025 to look back at this scent and not have those corners, not have those muskies that we have outgrown still poking at you, and yet still give you the definitive character of the 70s. My dad wore his aftershaves and colognes. I do know what they smelled like. Wow. And generally, when you do take in those musky spices from the 70s, they're bossy. They're going to tell you where to stand and who to stand with and where to put your hands. Somehow, and this is where the magic's been done here, that personality's there, but you walk up to the drill sergeant, and instead of screaming at you, he offers you a chamomile tea, and he's going to read your poem. Y'all. And you got to remember, too, the 70s were about your Hugh Hefners on one side and your Woody Guthries on the other. Such contrasting personalities, but they are both somehow present in what's going on here. Wow.
Intriguing. So it really isn't just the only 1977 year. It's that full 70s in there.
And there is just something about those colognes and their balance that had a cleverness that is in here, too. And I think that's what defined them, is when you smelled them, you're like, I don't even get how you're putting these together, but it just smells like the sun coming up. That's going on in this. And you know what's really cool? Last analysis before I hand this over to you. This does have beautiful, comforting, nostalgic, homey elements while staying 100% masculine. So this is going to be one of those moments where if you want to remember your grandpa, if you want to remember something like that, you will shave with it and you will love it. This is not something where you'll go, oh, I will not shave with that. But I think it's presenting a perfect masculine picture, the same way that Dorothy Jean presented a perfect feminine picture of her grandma. It's beautiful and charming, but is a guy.
Are there any specific scent notes? I know the musky part's there. Like, is there something that you're getting, if you had to describe it in scent?
I love this, too. I love the DJ, who is their perfumer, has gone into the leather and friendlied it up and then given it an extra little charm. So every scent note in here that for me might be a little bit scary, there has been a Norman Rockwell version created for this that gives it a beauty and an elegance all its own while taking away all of those bossy personalities of the 70s that we kind of would rather leave in the 70s. So yeah, not an updating of a 70s scent, but they've just let the parts of it that should have fallen away fall away so that you're left with the beautiful, elegant, sweet, nostalgic heart of the 70s without the bass notes that can get a little, I don't know why. I just did not expect this to be as absolutely friendly and beautiful as it is, but it really is. Take this in. I want to see what you
I am thoroughly intrigued now. I just picture like the 70s had those muted colors. Like even if you think of that 70s show or the Brady Bunch, like it does have that kind of a more like the
deep
adventurous
reds,
thing.
the dark browns, the yellows, the greens.
Like the burnt oranges. Like everything was just like its own color that era a little bit.
Those are in here. If you don't let them get too saturated, those are definitely in here. See what you get.
We'll see. Wow. That was not what I was expecting. I did feel like it was going to be a little more leathery or things that were going to be a little bossier in here.
A little dankier, a little muskier.
I can see why it's different, but it's still charming with how that's happening. Like it almost gives me like a warm sensation. I'm not sure why or how, but like, you know, the wool kind of stuff that they used to wear. 70s was really big. The flare bottom pants and stuff.
Giant coats for guys that had the fur on it.
The spices in here are different. They're more of a dried spice somehow to me. I thought maybe just because of the green, I thought it was going to be like a vetiver hit somehow. But I'm getting more like, my mind is getting more like the fougères or the ambers. Like there's something in that lane that's magically mixed in here.
That's how the vetiver is being used. 100%. I don't even sense like the Tom Ford gray vetiver in there. No, it's some other form of it, and it's beautiful because it doesn't get too green grassy, if that makes sense.
It's not everyone at Woodstock.
No. That was the 60s.
This is definitely more of a complex scent.
Right.
I feel like you could still wear this now. I really thought smelling this, it was going to be like a time warp and you were stuck in the 70s. But there's stuff in here that really makes it somehow work as a current scent as well.
Well, you know what's nice? It doesn't actually put you back in the center of the 70s. It lets you look back at them with nostalgia.
I would agree.
That's what it's doing.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
So you can ignore all the crappy parts that happened in the 70s. You can just look back with love at all the awesome stuff that happened. That's what these help you do. Let me smell this one again. Yeah, it's everything that was hopeful and beautiful about the 60s as if we're looking back at them, right? 80s, too. This one, y'all, cool.
Like, I can just even remember a lot of the glassware that my grandma has. It's that blue turned up. It's the greens that are there. It's there were braver, more fun things in the 70s than you expect. And something in this, it has a little bit of that smoky sense, but there's nothing dirty in this scent.
Right. Y'all, and the 70s were the era of hospitality. They sold all kinds of stuff that were designed to have parties in your living room. Everything from fondue kits to cribbage games, everything like that was about get together, have some fun with each other, be hospitable, have the exact right food, have the exact right drinks, have aspic for some reason. This captures all of that except the aspic. Please welcome into the barbershop Elaine Stritch. She was also from the 70s. There is a hit when you first smell this that is very musky, that is very leathery, that is very vetiver-ish, that is a little more bossy than the actual scent is. And after about a second, that falls away into something beautiful and creamy and cologne-y. And it goes back to the word on the sales page I love best, contrasts. There is more movement in this than most of the soaps that I've smelled. And it's a matter of where your nose wants to stop in that musical chairs game, because no matter where the music stops, you're going to find something a little bit different in here.
I get what you were saying earlier. It's definitely masculine, but to me, it'd be like going into a gentleman's den in the house. Like it just has their aura and their scent in there somehow. It is not too potent that I feel like I couldn't hang out in there. It's just their place.
It's a lovely vibe of a man cave in the 70s, maybe with some taxidermy on the wall.
It's interesting because I think the 70s have that contrast in those years. There's something that's very carefree about the 70s, but there's also something about kind of like finding your place. Like the gals could wear pants. There were things that were shifting of like trying to find, at least in the American culture, your place.
Female liberation movement was happening. The Equal Rights Amendment was not that far away in our history. Yeah, the 70s could have been absolutely bananas, but they weren't.
Yeah. That's what's in this scent somehow. What you were saying about there's movement in the scent. And I think that's why. Like, people were really trying to find their identity then.
And y'all, I'm sorry, but this is so beautiful. I'm just getting the vibe. I want to go back and look at what these scent notes were. Back to the sales page at rexsupplyco.com, the set notes for Rex 1977 are.
So it does start with vetiver. So the green here, but it's a different vetiver. It's not the grassy vetiver
green. Y'all, and I do not know vetiver in any one particular sense because in every soap I smell it, it's a little bit different. I don't get the green grassiness at all. I get like a deep, spicy vetiver, if anything. It's got a little bit of pepperness to it.
It does. And maybe that's just how it's mixing with patchouli. Like somehow with those two together, and it's not the San Francisco patchouli.
Not at all. I was going to say that too. Nothing squinchy or covering a sin to this patchouli. It's not the dankness at all. It's the lighter patchouli. It's like the Indonesian patchouli.
Yes. And then, interesting, we have rose. But tobacco is right next to it. And I think those almost come together in a fancy way as well.
And look at my face. This is not a tobacco that I have found in any of our other shaving soaps. And yet, I know it definitively as tobacco. This might be a little bit more of like the pipe/cigar tobacco, sort of the greatest hits tobacco of the 70s, maybe even a tiny hint of a cigarette tobacco in this.
And I almost get the color of like a deep red or a burgundy when I smell for that. So I don't know if that helps, but that's kind of the lane I'd put it in.
And it's under the surface. It's 10% at most. This is not a tobacco forward soap.
No.
But I love these two words together. Genuine leather. Now hold on. What do you mean by that? Because generally when we smell leather, we know that scent, but it may not be going for something that you're actually holding in your hand. They may not be actually reaching for something that you're wearing. It may be more of a perfumer's leather. I think she said that because this, more than any other leather I've smelled, smells like a real, jacket on your shoulder.
Like a
They
broken
meant that.
in one to me.
Right.
I feel like even like my grandma's chairs in her kitchen were leather, and as they broke down, they had their own smell.
And even then, the leather is only about 10 to 15%. The other scent notes are there to fill in the gaps like water, and it's amazing.
And I have to say, this is the one scent note I couldn't figure out, but it's throughout the whole whiff, and it's kind of the one out the door, is clove.
There
it's
it is.
magic in here.
And it's not too prominent. Clove has a way of crawling up my nose. It does not do that here. The balance, just like in a good song, is absolutely perfect. But you're right. The clove is a primary part of those bass notes and a little bit of the high notes as well.
Like, to me, if I were to read clove with vetiver, they're friends. Cloves with patchouli, they're friends. Clove with rose, they are friends. Same thing with the tobacco, same thing with the leather. Like, somehow that's like the key. You need it to get all the other ones to be friends.
And I think this is important too. The clove doesn't go sweet. No. Look at my face. Generally, you'd think, whoa, that's what's going to sweeten it up. Not at all. It keeps it savory.
Yeah. Like if I were to grab an actual clove that I use in my little steam pots and stuff, it's that smell. The texture of it just adds that other layer to this.
And y'all, we're not going to have the full personality of this soap until we have experienced it in the lather. So this is my Mystery Machine inspired brush made by Craig at Opus Brush. I had to pull this out. Scooby-Doo was in the 70s. This is our bougie stick from Amazon.com. And look at this. The texture on this is gorgeously soft. Oh, it's like McDuff's. REX stands for Revisit Excellence, and there are only 9 ingredients in this formula. This is my Captain's Choice Copper Bowl, and what you want to do, folks, is just smear your soap like Sarah's done into the ridges so you can't get them out again. The whole point is once your brush starts going over that soap, it's not going to pull up chunks. And would you like to give our whip pack a little play-by-play as you make our lather there?
All right, so you take your brush and you start going just over where the soap's at. One direction, little circular motion. Then you go the other direction. And then the Barbershop Duet part, you turn your brush 25%. Do the same thing.
Push down, get a little backbone going on, but now you've got a new orientation for those bristles to pull that soap onto your brush.
Then go for it again.
Another 25%, y'all. The idea is to load that soap in between the bristles of your brush first before you get it too sopping wet, and then you're going to be building your lather from the inside of that brush, not the bottom of the bowl.
And then once it's mostly kind of getting into those bristles there, you take the brush down towards where the water is hanging out at the bottom.
And watch it all get sopped up onto those bristles like gravy into a biscuit.
Ooh, and it's brightening up somehow.
I know, I can get it from here.
Wow. I know there's no citruses in there, but there's something that got brighter, almost like it could be a citrus.
It's a fabulous complement to 66. Yes. They're constructed in the same way, but they smell totally different, if that makes any sense.
Can I have a little more bougie while we're at it? It's a little thirsty.
A few moments later.
Y'all, I know we never discuss lather here at the Barbershop Duet, but you got to see this.
Ooh.
Y'all. I was taken to one of the San Francisco celebrations in 1976 for the nation's bicentennial. And the person that ran the ceremony looked at my mom and looked at me and said, wow, he might be here for the tricentennial. Well, that's a lot of pressure. So let me see if I can describe this. Every single one of those scent notes, to me, can have pokey corners that can get really old really fast. And what I'm loving about experiencing this soap and diving down into these scent notes is that as I find each one has been perfectly Marcusized so that it's fabulous to my nose and I can't get enough of each individual one, where generally vetiver, patchouli, leather can get a little bossy for me pretty quick, but not these. These just became this little gang of stuffed animals on my shelf in my crayon box. And I'm just loving exploring how not only each one of these has been created, but how they're fitting together inside of that charm.
And I do have to say, the write-up on this page really helped put me in the right mindset.
Right. Star Wars, Jaws, the 70s definitely had the best movies. And y'all, this is something you will only find here in the Barbershop Duet. This is I Need a Bigger Boat With on 3, 1, 2. Oh.
Got a little more charming here.
You know what's cool about this? Talk about contrast. Think of those 3 characters on the boat in Jaws, right? This could legit be
any of them.
One of them.
Agreed.
The darker, muskier parts are going to be for Shaw.
Yeah.
The smarter, clever, crispier parts are going to be for Richard Dreyfuss. And they got everything left over for Roy Schneider, but it wasn't everything left over for Roy Schneider. This could be the sailor. This could be the sheriff. This could be the intellectual.
Right? Anyone on that beach could be rocking this, oddly. At least most of the gentlemen.
And the darker it gets, the lighter it gets. That's the best way to describe this. And the lighter it gets, the darker it gets.
Yeah.
contrast is right. All right, y'all, strap in. We're going to get in our shark cage. We're going to go a little deeper. So, y'all, we love to watch Matt Pisarcik on YouTube, but we don't do shaving here at the Barbershop Duet. Realize there is great value in seeing how the lather coats the face, especially after he stopped using just Cello White, started using his own stuff on the show. It was awesome. And look at how this covers. And you know,
What do we got?
I'm getting a tiny sense of a floral hiding in the background.
So that rose is hanging out, baby.
This, that's what's coming forward, but it's not red. That's what's amazing. This is a white rose. If I have ever smelled one, you got to put that on your face.
Interesting.
Am I right? Are you smelling that? It's not yellow. It's not red. I don't know how better to describe it. It's a white rose.
Interesting. I almost thought it was more the red, like a dried red, not potpourri, but kind of like the texture of the red petals somehow. But maybe it is more white next to that other clove. I feel like it just creates a whole different scent.
The rose and the clove are coming together, y'all. That's what's happening.
Right? So it's just morphing the rose into something totally new.
You know what's funny? Now I almost get entirely rose. It all has to do with where your nose is looking. This smells like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
It does!
You smell that?
It totally does!
Mike Brady's Architecture Den.
Yep, that was the men's den I was mentioning
There
earlier.
we go. Is that the one you were thinking?
Yes, there was thinking of. And oddly, in that 70s show, even that old couch that they jump on and off of the whole episode.
I've never watched that. Oh. Now we have something to put on when we watch that 70s show. Do you want to talk favorites?
Well, let's compare. Can we whiff in order? Now
Let's
that we have everybody
We're
in
gonna take
order.
you back in a tour here through time. Let's start
55.
back in the 50s with Marty McFly. Okay, you go first.
Marty McFly. Like, this is one of the cleanest soaps I think we've ever smelled.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Crisp, clean, bright.
Very floral gardenia, fabulous.
Like,
and then,
all of your collars are in the right spot.
This one, tangerine and sandalwood, whisks you beautifully and gently into the 60s without the flower child vibe of it.
And it's a gentler soul, I feel like. This starts to get more personality.
You know, DJ, these have a fabulous progression.
Yes.
You feel like there's a little something in this that's a trailer hitch to this. There's a little something in this that's a trailer hitch to this.
Let's see.
And then this that I can't stop smelling. Y'all, I'm going a little wild for 1988. There is something amazing that segues from this into that. And that's another important thing for you to know, I think. There is something beautiful that segues from this into the purple, if you have smelled this.
The musky, warmer side?
Right.
I don't know. Something about that.
And then smell that.
I would agree. There is a pivot on each of these for sure.
Yes, but a connection. And then look at our new little
They're
box.
friends.
And y'all, you're hearing it here first. Well, not first, second, or third, because Matt announced it on YouTube the other day. But they are crafting a Rex 1944 set. We don't know when it's coming out, but it is a coming. He said that 99 would probably be a little too contemporary. Rex is about looking backwards.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see what the 40s could smell like.
I wonder what color it's going to be.
Yeah, that's a big decision, I feel like.
Right?
Even how if you look at how the textures change, like these ones are a little closer, but there's something about that shift
I know.
to 88 that's much more got the angles and the brighter colors.
And I love that they baked dust into the label, y'all. Oh, we have a couple of brand new metrics here before we run out of time.
Right.
We are judging the labels of the soaps on a scale of 1 to 10. Y'all, are you kidding me? This is an 8 or a 9.
Yeah.
How beautiful are these? This one's a no-brainer. But the cleverness factor, where would you put this one? Clever, magic, not the scent notes as you would recognize them, but the magic and how they're put together. This is kind of high up there. 7, I think.
You know, I would agree. It's funny because our cleverness scale is very different than crowd-pleasing scale.
Right.
So cleverness to me, I would say 7.58.
Right.
The way that those are mixed together, they're just like 5 or 6 scent notes, but there's some magic how they're connecting.
Batters Up would probably score pretty high on our cleverness scale. We did that one on our Iffy Soap series on Instagram.
Yep.
Well, because it absolutely is what it really smells like to be holding a pine tarry bat in your hand on the field. So clever, absolutely, but crowd pleasing. No.
But this one,
Crowd pleasing indeed.
I would put it more towards like a 5, 6. Like it's much more past. I mean, only because it's more masculine zone.
Right,
I think that was kind of where it pushed me over,
True.
just slightly past center. Nothing in it is pokey or going to push me away.
Right.
But I feel like it's exactly what it says it is. 70s, it's in there.
And you know, this might be the first one where I would say this would not be a strange scent on John Wayne or Walt Disney. Like,
Yes.
talk about contrast. This really
Agreed.
does span everything that decade was. So it's pretty simple. Y'all just be George Lucas creating the original Star Wars from 1977. And when it comes time to make Luke's iconic lightsaber, you're going to realize you hadn't put any work into that at all. So you're going to grab that flash from the flash camera over there. You're going to take off the bulb part. You're going to take off the bottom part. You're going to pull tape on it, and you're going to get your own. So head over to rexsupplyco.com to find this and a bunch of other stuff I want. Well, I've had my shave, y'all, with 1977. And you know what I love about this? I've done a little homework since the episode and smelled a few of Sarah's grandpa's colognes. These notes in the 70s could get a little rough. And I love that what DJ and Razor Emporium have done is modernize them just enough to where they're beautiful and have an edge of nostalgia and sweetness to them. And all of those squinchy sides of it, those musky, dry, leathery sides are not here. It's charming and slightly sweet and a good friend to have on your shoulder. And y'all, I am fresh off my shave right now. Look at this moneymaker. It is one of my favorite bases in all of the wet shaving world. Thank you for this. We'll be back for 44. Welcome to Messages.
So for our January giveaway, we wanted to give you a chance to get one of the inaugural soaps that they just dropped over at Adopted Acres Soap Company.
Yeah, y'all, Doug Lane and his family have gone live on Etsy as of January 1st. And to be eligible for this giveaway, all you have to do is send us an email here to WeSentYou at thebarbershopduet.com. It's the only way we communicate about our giveaways. And then check back here for our first February episode to see if you are our lucky winner.
Best of luck!
I love that I asked 9 friends what this was about, and I got 9 very different answers. And for me, very different from all of those responses.
Yeah.
Clean, spicy, interesting, intriguing, alluring, deep, beautiful, and yet just as clean as you would need it to be. Just like those friendly characters from the 70s at my dad's old lodge hall that I kind of remember. Standing around tuxedos, but every once in a while one would squirt you in the nose with the carnation. Those guys.
There's something about having the contrast to this scent and the texture of this scent. There's something to me that really does give me an image either of the shaggy carpet or the wool suits, or the fun, funky patterns on the outfits. Like, there's just something very different in a good way about this soap.
You know, I'm trying to think, because going back to 44, they're kind of running out of decades here. What's the next series that we could suggest that DJ might want to do? Maybe genres of American music, the rock and roll soap, the jazz soap, the country soap, the folk soap, the rap soap. Woo! This reminds me of my old doctor's office that he opened in 1955. This one reminds me of my dad's guitar case. Y'all, it's going to be very personal for you, but scent is the closest sense we have that connects to memory. And for me, it's not about what do I want to smell like. It's about when do I want to go.
Right? And I feel like the reason you watch TV shows or movies are because they've those layers of even just the set that they have, the people's costumes. Like, there's something about it that's its own time capsule.
And no amount of recreating a set for the eye will take you back to those memories, as well as something that was well crafted for the nose. But if you're watching this show, you already know that.
Don't forget your next appointment with the Barbershop Duet.
You'll smell more excellent just watching this.